to the first section.
Hi. Okay, Martin.
Yeah, everything's fine. We're just waiting for Gift.
I'm just going to quickly pop to the loo. I'll be 1 minute. Be back.
All right.
I'm starting my thing now. Okay.
Do you have the original?
Bring the doc. Okay.
Okay, guys, we're just waiting, giving her another minute. We don't really want to start without Gift, but we may do that in a minute. So that's just why we're waiting. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just waiting, giving her another minute. We don't really want to start.
How can I share the link on Facebook?
Mm. Mm-mm.
Start.
Okay. Okay, guys, we're just gonna go now. Gift is gonna be with us in about 5 minutes. So, Ayo, are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Enjoy. Thank you very much.
2 minutes.
No, Ayo, you can go now. She'll join us later, yeah?
Oh, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay, go for it.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the first FGM Activist Show. My name is Ayo Bello. Similar to the last launch of the virtual show last week, we have decided to come on here today to discuss the importance of local radio. And today I have two veteran panelists who have experience in media advocacy. Ifrah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Ayo. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, good to have you around, and we'll be expecting Gift to be joining us soon. I think she's been delayed because of some WhatsApp and some internet issues. And then we also have our program director, Naimah Hassan. How are you, Naimah?
Hi, I am really well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. So, Ifrah, can you kindly introduce yourself to some people who have not heard of you before, who have not seen you before? So, can you kindly tell us briefly about yourself?
Thank you. First time I've been live on Facebook. Hi, my name is Ifrah Ahmad. I'm Somali Irish. I'm campaign against practice female genital mutilation. I'm fond of Ifrah Foundation.
Interesting, Ifrah. So, Ifrah, today we'll be discussing local radio, the use of local radio, and I know you've got lots of influence and you've got lots of experience in that regard. So, I would like to ask you, when it comes to advocacy against female genital mutilation or any sort of advocacy, maybe towards the pandemic and all of that, what do you think is the importance of local radio? Ifrah, are you there?
Yeah, we lost you, I think.
Oh, really? Network, perhaps. Just go ahead. Did you get my question?
Not the last part.
The importance of local radio, considering your experience, what's the importance of local radio in any form of advocacy?
For example, in Somalia, the importance of the radio advocacy is that because people in rural area also do have a radio, and people in those areas, they listen to radio, for example, like BBC and VOA and Somali local radios to get information, and they find more about, what's going on in the country.
Oh, interesting. So we understand that definitely there is an importance of local radio, but what are the steps? Well, how easy is it to access local radio in your community?
Well, it's depend of, your approach, plus, Somalia is a country been war over 20 years or more, and most of the radios in national level is on private companies. So if you wanted to air, for example, story of FGM or even news, you have to pay the F. So some you pay like up to 150 to 300, depend of what you want. If you want 45-minute program, or if you want 3-minute news, or if you want bring someone to speak. So it's a different prices, up to 150 to $300.
Interesting. I think we have Gift here. Hi, Gift. Good to have you.
Hey everyone. Hello.
Hey.
Sorry about the network issues.
I understand. It happens sometimes.
Good to have you. How are you? You look good.
I'm good. Thank you. And you too.
Yes, so we have lots of viewers. We have people tuning in. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Gift Abu, and I'm a media graduate from GMC, and I'm also a community activist from Nigeria.
Interesting. So, Gift, we are discussing local radio, and I was just discussing with Ifrah on the importance of local radio. So, I would like to also hear your view. What do you think? How important do you think local radio is?
Local radio is very key and is very important in our work. Reason being that it connects the community and individual during their programs and in their content as well. And then it tries to relate with the community in the language you understand. Outside the local dialect that we all use, there's this particular language that both the young and the old, small and big, understand as well, which is the Pidgin English back here in Nigeria. And I'm sure that countries have their own unique language that everybody relates to very well. And another thing is that it tries to harmonize the community and the individuals in it. It is also cheap for you to go on local radio. It's easier to access than other radios as well.
Interesting. You made very valid points, because I was also asking Ifrah, the uniqueness of local radio, and she was trying to share a story from the Somalia point of view. And she was telling us how it is, how accessible it is to get local radio. So in Nigeria, in your community, for instance, how do you access local radio? What are the basic steps for a prospective media campaigner? What would you advise? How do they get access to local radio?
Okay, I think for me, I would say I am like an old customer when it comes to local radio. But when I started, it was So when I started, it wasn't easy because I was kind of like scared. I've never used media before. So after I got the training from JMC, I had to like go to different radio stations. Try to like create relationships with people around. Show them some videos that I've done my work and some work from GMC as well. And from there, I get to meet like the managers in charge of, the programs. And from there, they see what I've been doing. They try to make friends with me. And sometimes I'm asked like, you want to come on radio? I don't need to pay. You understand? Because of that relationship I've already created, they will just invite me and I'll come on. One thing that matters most is relationship. Once you create a relationship with these media people, you don't have issues. It's as simple as that.
I agree with you. It's very important. You mentioned trade relationships. So I want to believe that that is very, very important. I think basically in every sector, not necessarily media and advocacy, relationships are actually very important. And then talking about getting free airtime, I think later we're going to talk about access to funding and then free airtime. So let me go to you, Ifrah. Ifrah, we know that local radio is important, and we know that there are some people who do not have access to local radio. Maybe they are not exposed, or they don't have funding, or maybe one or two issues peculiar to some communities. What do you think, or what other means or media method do you think is as powerful as local radio? What other forms of media can people use?
Well, you see, in Somalia, the radio is very important. Plus, for example, we host meetings and trainings. We train the religious leaders because each rural area, they have some leader who is a religious leader who is indicate them about for their life, or practicing good well-being of Islam, or the religion, and what is bad. So when we host a training with the group, what we do is we train the religious leaders. For example, a global media campaign, first time they come to Somalia in Woodland, we hosted training about 75 people from media, civil society, and religious leaders. So those religious leaders, they go back to their own community in the rural area, and they tell them that the badness of the female genital mutilation and is a human rights violation. So a meeting helps to people to understand that the concept of FGM, and those people we train, they go back to their own community and they do the raise awareness. But radio actually holds a very powerful tools in Somalia, because everybody listen to radio, including my own father do listen to radio. Sometimes he hears my voice and then he calls me and he corrects me some things I say. Wow. And even I'm scared talking to him and just go like, did you really hear me talking? And then he says, I did, but you say this and this should not be that. So the older people, they do listen radio so much. For example, there was a story back in 2018, we were doing a media training with GMC. During the training, there was a young girl called Deka. She was 10 years old. She died because of female genital mutilation, and she died because she was bleeding. So what happened was, one of the journalists who heard about the training about GMC and IFRA Foundation, she decided to contact one of our guy who did the workshop with GMC and tell the story. And the guy said, why don't you just drop it on social media, and then we can later contact with IFRA Foundation and GMC. So you see, it's a very powerful way of bringing the message out. And that story.
Ifrah, thank you very much, Ifrah. Thank you very much, Ifrah. I understand you have said so much as regards local radio, and no doubt we know that radio has lots of influence, because from everything you said, I can derive that I think radio helps us reach a wide number of people. Better still, it is the largest means of media. And speaking of fathers, yes, I remember my dad also goes through some of my radio shows and TV shows to also give some corrections. Interesting. So Gift, are you there? So I would like to ask you, how do you know local radio has lots of influence? Fine, I understand we go on radio, we talk, but how do you measure your impact? How do you know that people are really, getting the right message, and that message is actually spurring positive behavioral change? So how do you know that your time on the radio is not being wasted? Gift, are you there? Gift is not there. Ifrah, let me hear from you.
Basically, for me, is I remember after Deka's story, we did the documentary called This My Story. So this is my story. The idea was to understand how media or radio has come across with our messages about raising awareness. So when we go back to the community, we ask them, how did they find out the death of the little girl? And mostly they say, I heard from the radio. And other people say, because I was in the market, I heard people were talking. And when I asked, how do you know, who told you? They actually acknowledge that they heard from the radio. So radio is a very powerful tool in terms of raising awareness, because if you talk about television, people who has television are the people who are the, who lives in houses. But example, people in IDBs, people in rural area who would not have electric access, those are the people who are very important to hear it, people in IDBs, because they get the message from passing from one another who listen to the radio, and they listen to the radio themselves as well.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Ifrah. That's actually very, very interesting. So local radio is very important. And I like from what you said, there is an importance for feedback. So even when you use the radio, it is important to get feedbacks. It is important to measure your success stories and, to understand that you're not just going there to speak, but you're crusading positive behavioral change. Thank you very much. So to all our viewers and to everyone connected, I would like you to send in your questions, as we'll try our best to answer most or all of the questions. So right now, talking about local media, let's see a video of where a couple of media campaigners are doing their things. Thank you. Good.
Can't hear anything.
There's no voice in it.
Okay, I think we should go ahead with questions, or okay, let's
try one more time.
Yeah,
If you just tuned in, you're listening to the nation's finest radio station. Today in the studio with me, I have Halima Tosise, and she is working with a campaign to end FGM in the Gambia. It takes a lot of courage to talk about FGM and say you want to end this. How do you do this?
We need to break the silence, come forward and talk to people. Because if we don't talk, people don't know what is happening.
Of course, the media, what we are doing right now, we are trying to educate people. But most of these people are in the villages.
Special program where journalists against FGM they bring to Huna and they get support from global media so that we will continue for talk to people. We do read a lot. We go to the community and engage and sensitize a lot of response in the world from people.
ambayo haikuwa ndo sunna ambayo ilikuwa ikifanywa.
Interesting. Nice video, and most importantly, I enjoyed the background music. So it's beautiful to see lots of media campaigners doing their thing, and I also saw with support from UNICEF and UNFPA. So I think we're going to get back to that. We appreciate every one person that has been supporting us, every organization that has been supporting GMC so far. So I think we'll go to more questions. Please, viewers, if you have questions, please pop them in. We are here for you. We are here to share ideas. We are here to entertain your questions. So we look forward to answering them. So let them pop, and then when they pop, we'll definitely respond. So Gifts, are you there? Are you there? Network.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
That's no issue, my dear. You understand? I can hear yes.
You have to keep going. So I know we keep talking about the importance of local radio. We have seen an amazing video. You know, everybody that sees the video goes, "Oh, beautiful." So I would like you to share some of your experiences. What are the challenges you encounter as a media campaigner when it comes to using local radio? What challenges do you have? Can you please share so everyone doesn't think it's just a smooth ride? So can we have some of your experiences?
I've had so many experiences. One of it is, you know, when you're on radio, you're like a voice to everybody out there. You want to like call in to contribute. And most times people don't get, you know, what you're saying, and they don't like what you're saying because it pertains to their community. You know, when you talk about issues like FGM, you're talking about someone's culture, someone's community. So most times when you're out of the station, you get attacked. People like call you and like you're not motivated, so you don't know what you're saying. And even if you're motivated, it's supposed to be done on you. So you have so many criticism at the end of every show you have. There's not everybody that will like what you say after coming out on radio, after every show. Some will like what you say, why some won't. So don't think that you welcome the idea, you know, and respond positively to what you have come out to say. You must have those who will be against you. So just get ready for that.
Interesting. Ifrah, is that the same with Somalia? Do you also experience criticisms, or Somalia is just one very happy place where there are no criticisms and no challenges?
Well, there's every challenge when you look at it around Africa. Of course, there is a lot of challenge because when people believe female genital mutilation is a traditional or cultural, it's similar to everywhere. So it's really hard subject to expose, you know. But the good thing is that we had the media training with the journalists, and we had media training with the religious leaders. So now people that kind of understanding, and they coming out to say that, you know what, we should speak out. Because I remember going back when I did this my story, we saved like 20 young girls from female genital mutilation. And those women, when we met them, we asked how did they find out, and they said, because I heard Deka's story and I didn't want my daughter to die, so I have to take her to hospital. And this is why, you know, media have, I mean, like radio and awareness on FGM have saved a lot of young girls' life, but it's still, there's a long way to go.
Interesting. That's nice. So it means that almost everyone experiences criticism. I also have my own fair share of it, you know, particularly as a survivor, sharing your story. In fact, you have other survivors telling you, Abba, it's not that bad. You know, it's not that bad. And then you have to be very careful. But thanks for the academy. Thanks for lots of training. And that's why we're also trying to train people here. You know, it's beyond your passion. We have people who want to be media campaigners. And that's why we're bringing this program online to ensure that people have the necessary information. It's beyond going to the radio to talk. There are some things you need to know. There's something called the do no harm principle. You don't go on air to start telling people female genital mutilation is barbaric. Female genital mutilation is bad. So you need to understand your audience. So these are some of the reasons why we brought up this training, and I think that's one of the advantages of this pandemic, because we have tried to bring the knowledge online, which is interesting. So I think we have some questions. Emmanuel from Sierra Leone is saying, if you can't get a relationship with the radio station, what do you do? How do you get them? I think that's for you, Gift. Talking about creating relationships. So Emmanuel is saying, if you can't get a relationship with the radio station, what do you do? How do you get them?
I think you can't do without relationship. one, let's just say you've never used a radio before and you tend to use one. You just walk into a media house, just get someone, tell the person the reason why you're coming, what you intend to do. You don't need much talk. That person you meet might take you to the person you need to see. You can't just go to a radio station and say you want to buy airtime or you want to do something. They will charge you based on their own cost. But if you have that relationship, you don't need to do something big. That's when you have that slash of airtime. But if you just go there because you want to do a program, I bet you have a normal rate like they charge everybody there. So you just need to just start somewhere. You just create a relationship.
Okay, thank you very much. I think when it comes to relationship, it doesn't have to be relationship. I think the word relationship is the problem. It is basically being friendly.
I think so.
Yes, it is basically
friendly.
Yes. Relationship does not have to be and then
Yes.
It's basically going into the local radio station with a smile on your face, making inquiries.
Very nice.
It's just the same way you go to the restaurants to buy food. Hi, do you have rice? Do you have amala? Do you have salad? So
anywhere you
relationship. Just be nice and ask questions. If I want to say something about that.
Yeah. To say this, you see, for example, in Somalia, because of the security, you cannot call someone or radio station and say you want to do this till you met them. And once you met them, they do their own research. They will find out who you are, what you do, and if you're truly doing this. And also they will check about the religion, about the community, they're effective. For example, if I say that something that upsets the community, they wouldn't take it because they don't want it to upset the community. And then about relationship, I would say, as Gifty said, that she get to know everyone. For example, in Somalia, I get to know all the Somali journalists, and I am kind of friend with everyone because I want them to bring my message out. And because of Somalia, before we started all the media campaign, it was very difficult for people to speak out openly on female genital mutilation and sexual violence. But now, where openly people are speaking out on FGM and sexual violence, they discussion on social media and they discussion on TV or radios. Little bit the problem is that, for example, I might be the only person who comes on TV or radio and constantly been talking on FGM, where other people who are activists, they will do in a background road because they will scare for their own security.
Interesting, Ifrah. Thank you very much. So it means that we should also consider the peculiarities of different communities. I mean, he is talking about Sierra Leone. I think it's sharing from my experience, working in Nigeria. But I think, Nigeria is the most populous African country, and then we have lots of multi-ethnic groups. So I believe that if local media can work in Nigeria, Nigeria is quite tough. I think it can work in any community. So it's basically relationships, like Gift has said. I think we have another question from Kemi who says, is there a backlash after you go on radio? I think we've answered that. There will be lots of backlash, and that's why we are here to train you. We're here to equip you with the necessary information. There's another question here. It says, how do you get policymakers to participate in the media campaign? Gift, can you just let us know, how do you get policymakers to participate in media campaigns?
Thank you so much, Ayo. It's very simple. When you need someone to come, like a stakeholder to come on radio with you, all you need to do is to visit. You may have the name of the person you want. You just go to the person's office or anywhere, tell the person you want to have him or her on air with you. Okay. Secondly, some of them don't have idea of what you want to discuss. And if you have a video pertaining to what you want to discuss, show it to them. Some of them want to see your work. They want to really know what you're doing. They won't just say, okay, I'll come. They want to know as in details of what you do as an activist. So you show them your videos of what you've been doing so far. That will motivate them to say, okay, I will come in, on air with you to speak. Otherwise, they will not give you attention. You need to show them what you've been doing.
Yes, interesting. And that brings us to how you need to be equipped. You need to know what you're talking about. Even if I'm not a policymaker, if you just walk up to me on the street to tell me, okay, introduce yourself, and I see that what you're saying is not really you know, it's not really convincing. It will be very difficult for me to support you. So as a media campaigner, it is imperative that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and you're able to pitch yourself. If you're able to pitch yourself, I think any reasonable policymaker would want to support you. But I think the question or the challenge here could be how to access these policymakers, because most times we look at them, you know, high up, maybe like religious leaders, political office holders. So I don't think getting them on your side is the challenge. I think the challenge is basically having access to them. Or Ifrah, what do you think?
For example, I'm still taking example in Somalia, because you know Somalia is a critical country, and for us getting the leaders is they have to know you before you even met them, because you know otherwise it's very difficult. Naima also can talk on personal experience, because we did the media training and we met a lot of our leaders in Somalia, including our deputy prime minister, and she knows how hard it was to get all those people. So it's actually lobbying a lot, fighting to get in there, you know, communicating, finding right people. That is how you get the point where you wanted to have people on site.
Oh, nice. Thank you very much. Yes, talking about getting people on board, you know, in my own experience too, I've been able to get a lot of influential people in Nigeria to join my campaign. And I must say, it's not been an easy ride. You know, with more than 5 years experience campaigning against FGM in Nigeria, you know, getting people on your side, they need to see that you have been working. So consistency is one thing. If you keep doing your thing, definitely people are definitely going to come around. It's just like when you pour some sugar on the floor, you're definitely going to get ants coming around. So if you're a media campaigner and you're doing your thing, influential people, policymaker would definitely come around, especially when you're gathering success stories and you're telling your story and you're amplifying your voice. I think there's a question. Yes, so 16th of June is Day of the African Child, and I hope that we have new media campaigners who will be able to carry out projects. Somebody is asking for ideas for the Day of African Child. Okay, so to everyone watching us, please, if you have ideas on how we can commemorate the Day of the African Child, please, you can just share with us. You can pop them and then ask your questions. I'm also trying to check out for other questions. Sorry. Where do we get, okay, where do we get the videos? Oh, okay, so I would like everyone to actually visit our Facebook. You know, go through some of the materials, go through our timeline to see some of the information we have shared. In case you're joining us for the first time, I think you should also have access to the last webinar. You could learn 1 or 2 things from it. So just go through it. Just go through it that way. So Gift. Okay, I think we lost Gift. So I think we should bring in our director of program now. Hi, Naimah.
Hi, Ayo. How are you?
Yes, so thank you very much. I would like you to actually talk to us about how to access funding to get in the local radio, as we have questions in that regard. You know, people asking what they can do for Day of the African Child. So thank you. Let's hear from you.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to share a little about one of the most important components of our work here at the Global Media Campaign, which is the Direct Action Media Grants. So what are Direct Action Media Grants, you may ask? Okay, so these are small micro grants ranging from $300 for individual grantees to up to $1,000 for group applications. And these are grants to support amplifying media campaigns on key calendar dates like the Day of the African Child, like you just said, Ayo. And with the support of UNFPA, we've been able to secure funding for direct action grants for these countries: Nigeria, the Gambia, Kenya, Somalia, Mali, Guinea, and Ethiopia. So at the moment, we are able to have funding for media projects for those countries, for those 7 countries I've just mentioned. Wow. And in terms of applying, it's quite simple and quite straightforward. A call for proposal will be posted on the Facebook group, this Facebook group, inviting people from these countries that I've just mentioned to apply. The application should be quite short and brief, with first of all, details of the media outlets that they are using to campaign or to hold their projects, whether it's a TV or radio station, brief details of the content that they are going to be airing. Examples of that could include radio panel discussions with religious leaders and reformed cutters, for instance, or producing and airing 30-second jingles with a key influencer 10 times a week, for example. So once the application deadline is passed, a team of people will be reviewing these proposals, and then everybody will be notified the outcomes of the proposal, whether it's been successful or unsuccessful. And for the successful applicants, it can take up to 8 days for them to receive the funds. And these funding can be paid out in various ways using Western Union, bank transfers, or remittance services like Dahabshil or Remitly. So at the end of the project, applicants need to send in their narrative and financial reports to designated program managers. And the most important part is that if they don't submit any receipts, they will not be able to access any more grants. So I think it's really important to clarify that it's quite important for them to share their learning and share their videos and as well as their pictures onto the Facebook group as well, and to share it as widely as possible using their social media platforms. So that's kind of just the gist of, you know, what the direct action grants entail. And yeah, I'm happy to take on any questions from the audience and from our viewers on to just give more details of the direct action grants.
Okay, thank you very much, Naimah. We definitely have questions already. So someone is asking, what do I need to qualify for the grants? Do I need a certificate? Do I need to go through the training before getting access to grants?
Okay, so I think as long as you're from those countries and you're on media campaign, or you're an activist and know how to, or have access to media, or have part of your network have connections with journalists or with TV, both in TV or radio, or even if you're using social media, but you really need to use it to create new cards and graphics, I think you can apply, as long as the subject need to be FGM or potentially COVID, given the crisis that we're in now. Those are the requirements, I guess. As I said, the range of funds $300 is the, just to give you a scale, it could be from $300 up to $1,000, but the higher end of the scale is for group. So it means 3 to 4 people applying to for a very clear regional focus activity.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much, Naimah. So someone else is asking, is there funding for Sierra Leone?
At the moment, we will find other sources of funding for Sierra Leone, but yes, short answer is yes, but not from this new opportunity that we've received, sadly. But we do have funding for projects in Sierra Leone, and we have been funding and supporting work in Sierra Leone, and will continue to do so.
Okay, so someone else is asking again, I do not have a personal bank account. Can I still have access to funding?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said, we try to make this as simple and as straightforward as possible. We use various different methods, from Western Union to MoneyGram. You don't need, if you have a bank account, we can attempt doing bank transfers, but the short answer is no, you don't need to have a bank account.
Okay, interesting. And someone else is asking, what's the maximum amount I can apply for?
As an individual, I guess it depends on your project. It also, I must say that it depends on your project, but as an individual, just to give you an average, is about $300.
Okay, $300. So someone else is asking, are you going to add more countries? Are you going to expand beyond 6? What about Sudan and Ethiopia?
Ethiopia is one of the countries that we have funds for. So people from Ethiopia, or campaigners, activists from Ethiopia can certainly apply, or media graduates can certainly apply. Our intention is to open it as widely as possible. Obviously, the issue is always funding, unfortunately. And we are working extremely hard to constantly raise funding for all FGM countries. So, but hopefully, we will continue to do that. But at the moment, the countries that I've just spoken of, that 7 countries, I'll just repeat them again just so people can hear. It's Nigeria, Gambia, Kenya, Somalia, Mali, Guinea, and Ethiopia. Though, as well as Sierra Leone, I should say, there will be funding available for those countries at the moment.
Okay, so someone else is asking from the Gambia. The person says, beyond radio airtime, do you also fund jingles?
Yes, absolutely. I think jingles are one of the most powerful, activities that we fund, and we do believe in them and we support them.
Okay, and then we have another question. Can you please give us an example of a good proposal? Basically, what does a good proposal entail so they know how to draft it?
Right, so a good proposal should have, first of all, what is exactly the idea? So so for example, we've got 16 days, I keep saying 16 days of activism. It's actually, I keep saying that today, I don't know why. So we have the Day of the African Child on the 16th of June coming up. So now you have a theme, you have a focus for that day. You need to think about, as an activist, who do I want to bring on air? Is it going to be, for instance, the theme this year, I believe, is about justice for children, I think. That's the theme this year. So you think about who is going to be there to speak on that issue. So it could be a legal representative, it could be a religious leader, it could be other forms of influencers. On using local radio, we encourage that as much as possible, given that they are most accessible and reaching the localities with local languages. And then design your program. For example, I've just given an example of a jingle. You can record a jingle for 30 seconds using various different voices to of influencers, and then you could, and that could be aired and broadcast on that local radio for 7 to 10 times a day for a week, for example. And these are just some ideas of some of the things you need to include. The details that will be needed to be included as part of your proposal. So that's what, and also more importantly, you need to also include the reach. How this media broadcaster, what is the the reach of that broadcast? Is it going to be reaching, is it a national reach, is it a regional reach, is it local reach? It's kind of important because as you know, speaking on radio, the reach can be up to like hundreds of thousands, and that one jingle could have that impact of reaching hundreds of thousands, and that's the power of media and the power of radio, I would say.
Thank you very much. So it means media campaigners need to be very creative in their ideas, and which would definitely reflect in their proposals. We have more questions. Patience from Abuja is saying, oh, sorry. Okay. Patience wants to know if there can be coalitions. Sorry, I think I lost that. Okay, yes. To know if you can have coalitions to apply for funding.
We encourage coalitions, we encourage group applications, because I think the more that people can work together, the stronger the application will be.
Okay, very good. So we have another question. The person is saying, is it okay to put children on radio?
You need to ask for their parents' consent. I think it's really important to ask for consent. And if and it also depends on what the child will be doing on radio. And it's really important to protect children. And I know you touched on that earlier, Ayo, as the whole do no harm principles. I think it's really important, as much as it's powerful to have young children on radio, on TV, it's really important to get consent. It's really important to, to be clear of what their role will be and what they will be speaking about, and they can, and I think we encourage that, but as long as it's safe, it needs to be safe.
I think it's actually a violation against human right bringing child on radio, speaking about her own personal experience. She's a child and she needs to be protected. I think we can speak about the mother can talk without showing without bringing the girl's voice into it, because we as activists, we are here to protect the young girls. We are not here to expose the young girls live on media. So it's not okay a child to bring a girl under 18 to bring on radio to speak her own personal experience. If I talk about my own personal experience working about gender-based violence, I talk a lot of sexual violence, and it's very difficult a child who been raped to bring on camera or showing their face. Even when we did the documentary, we make sure that every child we talk their parents, we cover their face. So
just to clarify, I completely agree with you, Ifrah, and I'm not suggesting at all, as I said, it depends on what. For example, if it's a school project that they have done and it's an art, that's what I'm talking about. So if it depends on what, of course, it should not be about exploitative in any form, and I think we should encourage there to be positive stories of children who are doing work should be encouraged.
Yes, I agree.
For example, what like now, for example, is African Child Day is coming in 10 days. Maybe whoever is doing something, what they can do is children drawing picture of Africa or drawing some school pictures. That is okay to show, but
yes,
Ifrah,
Ifrah, I understand you, and I'm sure everyone does. I understand what Naimah is saying, but for you, media campaigners need to be creative. So it depends on them. Like Naimah said, it depends on what the child is doing. And then I think it also depends on the law of the media. There are media agencies who say we don't want children. So it depends on what you want the child to do. So to the person that asked the question and to everyone trying to be creative to use children this season, let's be considerate and ensure that the child is protected and you get consent from the guardian or from the parents of the child. And then I think schools are not in session right now because of the pandemic. So those are some of the factors. So if you're getting a child on air, definitely it's not from the school because schools are not in session, in Nigeria. So except you are the parent as a media campaigner and you want your child maybe to share a story or to do a radio drama or whatever it is. But whatever it is you want to do, let's be certain about the protection because basically that's what we're celebrating. So let's go to another question. How do I register my radio for the Virtual Media Campaign Academy? Naimah, because I don't understand that.
Okay, I think they are. Is it how they can apply to join the Virtual Media Academy? It's quite straightforward. It's a Facebook group. You can apply, by clicking join, and you can just follow. You can register using the, you just invite yourself to register for the Virtual Media Academy Facebook group. And there you will have access to lots of resources, lots of videos, and also hopefully more regular webinars like the one we are having today for more content and learning opportunities.
Okay, another question, Naimah. Is there an email address we can send in our proposals, and what's the deadline? What's the duration of application?
Okay, so there are different cycles. So it usually the direct action grants are bi-monthly, and they usually fall within like a key calendar date. And now we have, unfortunately, for the 16 days, I keep saying 16 days, for the Day of the African Child, unfortunately, that deadline has now passed. Given that it's only in less than like a week and a half time. And however, the next one will be in, I believe it will be in August. So there will be an opportunity there for the summer cut-in. So there will be hopefully another round then. So the deadline has passed for the Day of the African Child. The email address is info@globalmediacampaign.org. Okay. And there will be a cheat sheet on that, that will be posted on this Facebook group as well. So with all of the details of direct action grants, as well as the email address of where you will need to send in your applications.
Oh, interesting. So viewers, it is info@globalmediacampaign.org. So please do not forget that. Send in your proposal, send in your beautiful ideas. So we have more questions. Someone is saying, okay, I think we're going to get that one. How do I register my radio? I think I've read that. Ask them for their passion. okay, what is their advice for the of the African child? Okay, so it's left to you. What do you want to do? Let us know what you want to do and send in your proposals to info@globalmediacampaign.org, and we can see ways we can support you. You see, it's basically for you. It's basically about you. If you have ideas on how you want to campaign or you want to do a project, just let us know. And that's why we are creating this platform. And Naimah, I think I'm going to come back to questions on the direct action grants later, because I have some questions concerning local radio. So I'd like to switch to that. Thank you, if you permit me. So Ifrah, I have a question for you. And it says, how has COVID-19 changed the way you work with local radio? Has the pandemic actually changed anything?
It has changed a lot, and because I was doing grant action funding with the GMC, some of the work was very difficult because we have to organize with religious if we want on through the phone, or if we want to send someone, we have to make sure the person is safe and the interviewer is safe. So it's been very difficult, but I was also taking some part of the interview, so it's been over the phone. So now everything we are doing, someone sending video or someone actually being interviewed through the phone. For example, last week we finished our campaign in terms of the FGM and COVID-19, and what we did was thanking all our medical people in Somalia, and it was so good because some of my friends, we all did as a voluntary base, and then we asked federal government to also do same thing, and the Prime Minister of government sent the video, Minister of Information, and a lot of other member of the government, they send the video thanking the Somali medical people. So I think there's a lot of change, but we can encourage everyone to do a video if they can. Just send in a short video if it's safe to go to, for example, some Mogadishu. We have in a lot of IDP centers. So we have a young activist who are in Somalia. She travels to IDBs and talk to the community, talking about the hand wash, and especially because of the COVID-19 has affected in Somalia, because young girls are more at risk on female genital mutilation and sexual violence. So we are just giving advice how to protect and how to stay home. Plus, because of the COVID-19, the Holy Quran school has been closed. So more girls are at risk on FGM.
Okay, thank you very much, Ifrah. I would like you to give one piece of advice to media campaigners or prospective media campaigners who are joining us. What advice? Very short.
I really appreciate now all the people who've been asking the question how to apply and which way to go forward. I would encourage all of them to apply and send their proposal. And also I will say, if you're doing something, have the heart and have the passion and say you want to do it. And even if you get disappointed from GMC, please don't stop, because you want to do something, go for it. Prove it that you can do it. And because this has affected our young girls and we have to do it, we have to continue. And we thank GMC, but please don't lose the hope. Go and do it. Find your own way, stand your own feet. And my advice is, we all fighting for one.
Do not lose hope. Thank you very much. So Naimah, Programs Director, let's hear from you. What advice you have for us?
Advice, don't, I echo everything Ifrah just said. Don't give up. Don't wait for anyone, and you should just always find innovative ways to campaign. There's ways of campaigning for free using just your mobile phone. You can become, you can really be successful in your message and in your campaigning and in reaching these influencers through just finding them on Twitter or on social media. So when there's a will, there's a way. So just keep trying and don't give up.
Interesting. When there is a will, there is a way. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has tuned in. Thank you, Ifrah. Thank you, Naimah. Thank you, Gift. Thank you so much. I'm happy we've come together to do this today, and it's a very interesting one, and I'm glad. And I believe that someone out there is going to be a media campaigner, and courtesy this platform and this program. So my name is Ayo Bello from Nigeria. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone that has tuned in. So next week we're going to have a Somali special. It's going to be on the 18th of June, and Ifrah is going to be anchoring that. I'm so excited and I look forward to it. So please stay around on our Facebook page for more information, more videos, and more entertaining discussions. Thank you very much. Bye.
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 Well done, you all. Wow.
So cool.
Are we ended?
Oh, Maggie, I hear you.
Wait a second, I'm going to end the.
Maggie, you're still
Yes.
on Facebook.
We're still